Fernandez has been doing in all of his matches versus the RMD so far is just waiting for those moments right as Feint falls off or right as the heal overtimes fall off and throwing out those storm bolts. But here we go, guys. Game one between SK Gaming and Skill-Capped EU.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to be an epic one here. We see Skill-Capped EU pushing in, all players in stealth at the moment, looking to get that triple CC opener, playing it very patiently, waiting for the capacitor totem. Mushroom and Healing Rain are down from the team of SK Gaming to try and make sure they're defensively at full capacity here. Skill-Capped still patiently playing here. They're going to move in. Cheap shot onto Joe Fernandez. Mark for death over onto Swapsy. Immediate damage over on him. And Botar gets the pre-Iron Bark off, reducing a significant amount of it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it needed to do. Shut down the opener of Skill-Capped. Get out that Iron Bark. Going to reduce that damage by 20%. Swapsy's going to be completely fine at the moment. The full blind, though, going out onto Botar. Deciding to trinket that. He wants to line up his trinket as well with that blind. Raikou taking a little bit of damage as well as Pride Healing Stat actually using Bark Skin. Raikou getting dangerously low, down to 20% HP. Forced into his first ice block.
That is a very fast first ice block coming out from Raikou, even with that Iron Bark, and now they're swapping it over onto Pry, trying to put a whole bunch of damage into him as well. His Feint's actually about to fall off. He does not have it active, but they've already swapped over onto Raikou. The Stormbolt comes out onto Healing Stat. SK Gaming right now is just beautifully pinging back and forth, making sure the Skill-Capped's on their toes.
Still a lot of pressure on Raikou. Full fear on a Healing Stat. He has to trinket that right away. Raikou's still on hypothermia and unable to block for a few more seconds, down at 49% HP. We see, though, Skill-Capped making a swap over onto Botar. He is in bear form. He's got the Bark Skin up. Will it be enough? Adrenaline Rush comes out from Prey. He's looking to try and secure an early kill here, down to 30% HP. Botar kiting away, still in bear. Swapsy getting cloned up, but Botar snags himself a nice Nature's Swiftness, which will stabilize his health and continue his team on in this game.
Yeah, but he has no trinket and no Bark Skin now. The next swap Skill-Capped does onto him. If they can get another clean one, it's going to be very dangerous. Joe Fernandez might have to use that Vigilance onto him. Healing Stat also has no trinket available. Swapsy getting swapped to right now, though, into that kidney shot. Shamanistic Rage coming out. You'll be fine. Botar channeling that Tranquility to keep him up.
Yeah, Botar has plenty of cooldowns left to hit. That Iron Bark is going to be so important for the next swap. We'll have to see if he can push up and use his stun to set up a kill.
Yeah, but this next setup for Skill-Capped could be the game. Botar realizes that he's going to pre-Iron Bark Swapsy. Are Skill-Capped going to push through that, or are they going to play it patient? Looks like they're going to. Preparation coming out from Prey. They're going to be looking for a kill here very shortly. There's the defreeze onto Botar. Cross CC onto Joe Fernandez. The full kidney shot follows up. Botar's gone to the Ring of Frost. Joe has to keep his team alive right now. He trinkets. He gets the Vigilant out onto Swapsy. Will it be enough to keep him alive? He's dipping down to 45% HP. He's caught in the center field. Still dipping dangerously low. Botar caught into the half bash now. Can they chain the CC? Healing Stat gets the clone, and Skill-Capped takes the game!
Just so much constant CC coming out from Skill-Capped, able to keep Botar locked down for so long that eventually there was just no way for SK Gaming to stay alive.
Knew that he had enough damage to go through Vigilance, and that's why they set it up so Joe would be the last line of defense. Now, obviously, SK Gaming have picked Runes of Order, and it's their favorite map against Rogue Mage Druid. They can just kite around the center tomb, and then when the Rogue Mage Druid needs to retreat to try and get mana back, they stack up in the room and cleave all of them apart.
They are going to be, of course, looking for Pry to get a good opener here, being very, very patient. Joe Fernandez going to try to disrupt that opener. Most likely going to see him Blaze Storm unless he gets Cheap Shot to try to break up that initial opener using Intimidating Shout and his Stormbolt.
Yeah, Pry moving in here. He just goes straight for the Cheap Shot on Joe Fernandez and the kidney shot onto Swapsy. The Iron Bark does come out. Botar gets caught into the Deep Freeze, into the Polymorph as well. Are they going to be able to force the Shamanistic Rage out of Swapsy as well? That Iron Bark is about to wear off, and they do have the blind onto Botar that gets trinketed right away, but they're turning it around onto Healing Stat. That was a big chunk of damage that he had to deal with, and he's actually running for his life right now.
Yeah, Swapsy and Joe are going very aggressive on a Healing Stat. He's caught into the bash. Skin is fading here. Joe is trying to finish him off. Swapsy needs to be able to reconnect. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to. Healing Stat trying to drag both of these melee DPS into the open at the moment to tee off for the next deep freeze, which is available. Skill-Capped EU just need to pull the trigger. They're actually going to make a swap over onto Botar. They drop the smoke bomb as well. He did pre-bear form. He's got Bark Skin up. He should be able to survive here. Vanish double eviscerate comes out from Prey. As long as Botar reacts appropriately, he should be able to make it out alive. He's going to shadow meld a little bit of incoming damage. Killing spree comes out. Botar's not responding, down at 23% HP. Prey trying to finish him off. The NS comes out. It barely does anything. Botar in full retreat, trying to displace back to the room. Joe Fernandez and Swapsy are going to keep him alive for a little bit longer, but that was a great expense of cooldowns.
Yeah, all he really has left is that Iron Bark. He gets caught in a stun, but Raikou taking a lot of damage now, down to 40% HP. Healing Stat got to that Stormbolt. Raikou might have to be using his first block here. Still has 2 available if he needs it. Looks like he is going to catch a huge heal. Colossus Smash is going to fade, but still, Healing Stat having a really hard time keeping up. Swapsy getting kidney shot, though. Botar into that full sheet. The Shamanistic Rage coming out from Swapsy at the moment, who's taking a lot of damage. Sham Rage should be enough, though. Botar most likely going to get out of the CC and able to top him off.
Yeah, Healing Stat still taking a lot of damage, though. He does have to use that Bark Skin. And he's just trying to get out of there and trying to get away. The heals are coming out, but it's just so much damage. Now onto Pride, down to 30% health there for just a second. The Feint is about to wear off. Do they have anything to penalize him for that? Does not look like they're going to. Just continually, this is what SK Gaming has done so many times, just switching targets back and forth, but now the Deep Freeze is coming out onto Botar. They could be in some trouble here on Swapsy. The Iron Bark comes out, and the Ring of Frost onto Botar as well.
Yeah, the Vigilance actually came out from Joe there, which was very important. His trinket is now down. Both players still cross CC'd. Luckily, Botar did pre-shapeshift the incoming Ring of Frost, so he cannot be polymorphed at the moment. Ice Nova charge used there from Raikou, trying to maybe get some surprise burst onto Swapsy right now. Botar's not falling for it, and I think that SkillCap realize the kill is lost. They need to peel for Healing Stat. He's caught into that full Stormbolt. He did pre-bear for him, but he's still taking a significant amount of pressure at the moment. He's going to Iron Bark himself as he dips down to 46%. A swap now over onto Pride, into execute range, and SK Gaming are going to bring the game back in a surprise fashion. Prey not respond. SK Gaming does better than any other turbo so far in the world is that they always just ping pong back and forth. They're never overextending, but this game is about to start here as the gates open on Tolvaron Arena. We can see that SkillCap, of course, are going to be in stealth once again, moving forward, looking to get that triple crowd control opener.
Yep, Prime moving in here, looking for the best opportunity. Of course, SK Gaming is very good at trying to diffuse that as much as possible, even before SkillCap moves over. We saw just a second ago, the Capacitor Totem, just everything they can drop ahead of time that might pull someone out of stealth is what they're looking for. And we even see Joe Fernandez just running back and forth, trying to find someone in stealth so that he can go on it. But there's the cheap shot coming out onto Joe Fernandez, the sap onto Botar, and the kidney shot onto Swapsy as well. That's immediately going to pull out the Shamanistic Rage because there was no pre-Iron Bark this time.
Yeah, there's the deep freeze over onto Botar. He's still caught into that. The Ascendance is going to get popped. Botar tricketing that blind right away, trying to get Joe Fernandez on the offense to swell him out of that polymorph. Ascendance is still up for a few more seconds. Pressure onto Raikou. He gets locked on that polymorph, still down at 50% HP, trying to retreat back. And this is where SkillCap are taking advantage of that big open playing field, trying to drag SK Gaming into the middle field.
Yeah, and Joe Fernandez and Swapsy making sure they don't overextend too much. They don't want Botar to have to be in the middle of the map. Botar, of course, playing very far back, has that Nature's Vigil up, just throwing out as many hots as possible, just wants to make sure his team's okay while they're out there. Actually, the full clone going out onto Joe Fernandez, the kidney shot onto Swapsy. Botar actually getting caught into that deep freeze. Well-timed trinket by Swapsy, actually interrupting Raikou's, preventing that CC onto Botar.
Yeah, but I love these Cyclones coming out from Healing Stat just constantly. As soon as there's a setup that starts to happen, he throws the Cyclone over onto Joe Fernandez, which is really making it difficult for SK Gaming to respond to those when they actually come out. However, Botar does now have his Iron Bark available once again, as well as his Nature Swiftness, so SK Gaming should be feeling pretty confident at the moment. Of course, the Shamanistic Rage has come up as well, so SkillCap has got a lot of cooldowns to work through, but it's looking like Raikou taking quite a bit of damage here. SK Gaming trying to force out an Ice Block.
Yeah, he's still dipping dangerously low. There's the block getting traded out with that Stormbolt over on the Healing Stat. Joe Fernandez caught into the cheap shot. SkillCap, you are pulling the trigger. Joe needs to be the one to save this setup. He's got his trinket available. Sham Rage is going to come out. I don't think the Sham Rage will be enough on its own. He's dipping dangerously low. The Gift of the Naru has to come out. Healing Stat follows it up with the Cyclone. Swapsy's still in a 2v3 situation, but should stabilize towards the end of it. Healing Stat not able to chain the clone any longer, but forcing through that Sham Rage. Now on the next setup, looking for Joe's trinket.
Yeah, great job by SK Gaming to survive through that, but that was a lot of cooldowns that were just used. Even the Nature Swiftness coming out from Botar. Now with this Sheep onto Swapsy, it looks like they're going to just settle back a little bit, just try to chill out the damage that SK Gaming is able to do until they can get another good setup. There was a Stormbolt just then onto Healing Stat, with SK just trying to make some damage here. Looks like they're trying to force another Ice Block out of Raikou, but with Healing Stat getting out of that Smoke Bomb, they should be just fine for now. As I say that though, Raikou's still taking an awful lot of damage.
Wait, Joe Fernandez just used the Vigilance preemptively, and Raikou's still taking a bit of damage, though he's got to be careful here. Now that they've baited the Vigilance through, they might be able to get a kill if they go in the next 8 seconds. 7 more seconds, and Sham Rage is going to come up. Botar has his trinket now available for blind, and SkillCap, you are losing their opportunities to strike.
Yeah, SK Gaming has a lot of cooldowns they can still work through. Here's the triple crowd control that's going to go out. Swapsy immediately using that Shamanistic Rage. Full ring onto Botar, though. Swapsy could be in a little bit of trouble. Raikou just spamming out that damage. Adrenaline Rush is up for Pride. Swapsy trying to get away, doing a little bit of damage to Pride right now. The killing spree, though, coming out onto Swapsy. Botar getting out of that crowd control, throwing out that NS. Going to stabilize Swapsy for now. Pride going to be in a little bit of trouble, though. That's his last evasion.
But Healing Stat got to drink back to full, I'm sure, in stealth at the moment. Pride is resetting as well, and SkillCap, you are playing the map out to perfection.
They are, and Pride in that moment right there when we said he had killing spree up, he also had Adrenaline Rush and he had red buff up. So not getting a kill off of that is huge.
Yeah, that really hurts SkillCap's chances. They want to be using as many of those opportunities as possible. Now Botar caught in that blind. He's going to trinket that right away and immediately use the Iron Bark onto Swapsy. The Iron Bark just fell off of Raikou, though. Looks like they're trying to turn it around. Healing Stat Stat caught into that Stormbolt, having to use the Iron Bark, or excuse me, the Bark Skin. He's just trying to kite away right now. Are they going to swap it back over yet again onto Raikou or Pride? Doesn't look like it just yet. SK Gaming actually having to get held up a little bit here.
Swapsy popping the Ascendance there, not getting too much done with it. He would have liked to get an Ice Block out from Raikou. Looks like they're still trying to force it. Charge stun over onto Pry as well. There comes the triple crowd control out from Skill-Capped EU. Joe Fernandez trinkets out of that right away. Lands a good defensive fear onto Prey. Now Joe, though, is caught into the bash. Healing Stat tries to go for a clone. Botar shuts him down. Well done from Botar. He's going to keep his team going and gain some momentum with that.
Healing Stat taking a lot of damage, though, down to 30% HP. Doesn't have any defensive cooldowns. Using that Stampeding Roar, getting to the pillar, getting away, going to be able to hot himself up. Raikou, though, immediately getting swapped to by Swapsy and Joe Fernandez, taking a lot of damage, down to 20% HP. The Colossus Smash comes in. Healing Stat trying to get some regrowths onto him. It looks like he will connect, but Pry now taking a lot of damage. SK Gaming hitting every single target of Skill-Capped, forcing so many defensive cooldowns and forcing them all defensively.
Yeah, this is Danger Town for Skill-Capped right now. Healing Stat, however, did manage to get off a full channel of Tranquility, topped his team off quite a bit, but now caught into that Stormbolt. Are they going to be able to continue putting damage into Pry? It's important to note that Cold Snap has just come back up for Raikou, so he does now have 2 Ice Blocks available. SK Gaming actually kind of missed an opportunity there to maybe burn through his second Ice Block and make sure that he would never get back to having 2 available, but they're still just putting up so much pressure. Pry actually has to get an Iron Bark.
Skill-Capped EU actually just lost a kill opportunity. Botar pre-Iron Bark the setup, and they weren't able to chain the CC. Now SK Gaming have a lot more momentum because of that. Stormbolt over onto Healing Stat. Raikou dipping dangerously low. Blazing speeds away, trying to kite away from Swapsy and Joe Fernandez, but they don't care. Swapping now over to Prey. We see Healing Stat moving in. Joe Fernandez trying to pre-parry the bash, but he's going to eat a Polymorph. Skill-Capped EU going for the triple crowd control, but they don't follow it up onto Botar. He Shadow Melts. The Shaman Rage is going to come up from Swapsy now as Healing Stat does secure a Cyclone. Polymorph reflected over onto Raikou, and SK Gaming are going to defuse the CC once again.
That Shadow Melt was so huge because he was able to get an NS off immediately after and save Swapsy.
Yeah, Healing Stat getting shocked on that Cyclone, pulling back. I like what Raikou's doing. He realizes the kill opportunity is lost, just spamming out those polymorphs, trying to build up those icicles for the next kill. Healing Stat actually going for another drink once again. Botar at around 25% mana, dampening at 5% right now. Wants to keep his team aggressive. Can't really go for the drinks as often as Healing Stat, with Healing Stat having that Mage Food, which ticks instantly. Here comes the triple CC, though. The Iron Bark out onto Swapsy. Preemptive Iron Bark. Well done by Botar once again, but he isn't that full polymorph. Vigilance being stacked by that. It's unlikely that Swapsy goes down, but Skill-Capped putting out so much damage.
Yeah, that Adrenaline Rush forced a lot of cooldowns. Excellently timed clone from Healing Stat onto Swapsy. He's dangerously low. The Smoke Bomb gets dropped out of it. Joe Fernandez caught into the poly. Botar's scared to go in. Botar goes into the bash. Healing Stat trying to chain it into the Cyclone. He's not able to get it. Botar's able to displace out of line of sight. There's the Shadow Reflection Kidney Shot over onto Swapsy. He's down at half HP. Botar caught into a 1-second deep freeze. He connects the polymorph on the 1-second deep freeze. Swapsy has to respond with the Shamanistic Rage. Dampening and stacking high. His healing is going to do less and less. He's dipping dangerously low even through the Shamanistic Rage. Botar, though, is no longer crowd controlled. Connects that Nature Swiftness. SK Gaming rotating the pressure now onto Raikou. Both Swapsy and Raikou the primary targets right now for opposing teams.
Yeah, SK Gaming survived that very well, but they still have their work cut out for them as they have very few defensive cooldowns remaining. It's just going to be Iron Bark in a few seconds. Raikou gets down to 10% health and has to Ice Block. He did have his Cold Snap available, so he will have a second Ice Block, but he's still only at 45% health. There could be an opportunity here for SK Gaming to kill him inside of Hypothermia, but it looks like they're going after Healing Stat.
This is the setup that they have to kill Swapsy, and there's nothing there to stand, and they're not getting it. There's not enough crowd control for Botar. Healing Stat going for the bash, trying to chain it into the Cyclone here shortly, I would imagine, but he's just not able to get it. Joe is going to shut it down. Botar gets the Iron Bark up, dampening and stacking up. Raikou's dipping dangerously low. Joe Heroic leaps over to try and finish the job. Hypothermia is shortly fading. He's got one more block available, down at 34%, trying to kite away. Defensive polymorphs onto Swapsy. Raikou should be able to stabilize here in this game, but it's a tense moment for both teams.
Yeah, and he actually saved his second Ice Block there, so even though the Hypothermia fell off, SK Gaming still had an opportunity to get that second Ice Block, but they weren't able to force that out, and now both healers are actually getting super low on mana. We're going to have to look to see if Healing Stat can get another drink off. He's gotten a couple already. Botar's just been hanging on this entire time with just the one mana bar. No real drinks for him just yet.
Healing Stat actually got locked out there. Raikou taking a lot of damage. The Stormbolt follows that up. Raikou trying to do his best to kite. Turning around the pressure, the Frozen Orb goes out onto Swapsy, taking a lot of damage. He does have that Shamanistic Rage if he needs it, deciding not to use it, even though the Frozen Orb comes out. Raikou under a lot of pressure right now. The Killing Spree, though, coming in onto Swapsy. Healing Stat actually offensively cloning that. A little bit of an overlap on that Killing Spree right there, but Swapsy still low. The sap onto Botar. Swapsy having to use that Shamanistic Rage, in a lot of trouble right now. Botar does have Trinket and Iron Bark available if he needs it. He wants to save it for Blind, though. There's the Blind. He's going to Trinket that right away. Into a bash, though. Swapsy could still be in a lot of trouble. Shamanistic Rage still up for him, taking a little bit less damage. Botar caught into that TCs. How is Swapsy alive? I don't understand. He is using that pillar quite well to kite. Iron Bark actually coming up from Botar at the same time, though. Healing Stat taking a lot of damage, using that Bark Skin, getting away. His mana is dangerously low at the moment. Pride taking a bit of damage as well. No evasion for him for a while.
Yeah, this is starting to look really bad for for Skill Cap. Healing Stat down to 5% mana, and all 3 members of Skill Cap just constantly taking damage. Healing Stat tries to get a drink off, but Joe Fernandez jumps over. He did actually manage to get into stealth. If he can sneak away, he might be able to get a drink here just by walking across the entire map. He's going to just sit down and drink.
Here comes the setup, though. Joe Fernandez has to be careful here with this trinket and his vigilance, holding onto it patiently. No CC. They managed to actually force Raikou into a block. Stormbolt onto Healing Stat. He's forced to trinket that. Joe Fernandez and Swapsy connecting. He displaces away, throws up the Iron Bark. Joe Fernandez trying to reflect that instant root. Not able to connect, though. Botar caught into the deep freeze. He goes for the poly. Doesn't manage to get it. Swapsy grounds the Polymorph. And now SK Gaming can take a huge swing of momentum. Recklessness coming up in 18 seconds. Ascendance available in 28. Actually, Recklessness coming out from Joe Fernandez right now with the Blade Storm onto 2 players. He wants to swip over to Healing Stat. He actually puts him into the full fear, trying to finish the job here onto Prey. Prey doing a great job defensively peeling with these cheap shots. Swapsy now getting set up on. They need some CC onto Botar. They might be able to take him down. A bit of an overlap here out from SK Gaming. As long as Skill Cap to you stay alive, they should be able to take it. But Raikou's almost into execute range with no blocks left and nothing standing between death. He's trying desperately to kite away from Joe Fernandez, and Joe Fernandez just can't connect. He can't finish them off.
It's going to come up 1 second, uses the cold snap, does have a nice look. He's going to have to use it right away in the nick of time, right as Joe Fernandez connects. Pry, though, still dangerously low. Healing Stat has no mana whatsoever. How is he going to keep his team alive? Raikou coming out offensively, the Stormbolt onto Healing Stat right now. Adrenaline Rush coming up from Pry.
This is the setup to win.
Swapsy could be in a little trouble. Could Skill Cap turn it around right here? Botar onto that full Ring of Frost. Trinket coming up for him in 5 seconds. The DR Bash. Swapsy needs to live for just a little bit longer. Botar able to get the Iron Bark on him. Now Pry's going to go down to 19% entry into execute range. This could just be the game, and SK Gaming's going to take it.
He Blade Stormed the blind. He immuned the blind at the end and finished it by Blade Storming.
To win BlizzCon.
This is SK Gaming's map. This is SK Gaming's game. If they win this, they will become the 2015 BlizzCon champions. Skill Cap has to win here, or they will be eliminated from the tournament. If you guys want to see a great game, cheer these guys on right here and now.
Yeah, we can see Skill Cap DU currently in stealth, playing it patient here. The Tiger's Peak was an expected map pick. As they're moving forward, they really need a clean opener. They need to kind of refresh themselves emotionally and get a quick win here if they want to move into a confident Game 5.
Yep, we're just watching here as Pry's about to move in. He goes for the cheap shot onto Joe Fernandez. There's that free Iron Bark coming out from Botar once again. Very, very good from Botar just before that Deep Freeze comes out. Is caught into the Polymorph, so the Iron Bark is going to slowly tick down on Swapsy, but we're going to have to see if Skill Cap is going to be able to force out the Shamanistic Rage as well. Does not look like it. Wow, Raikou actually takes a big chunk of damage there, down to 38% health. Does not have to Ice Block, but he's still taking so much damage, and that did pull out the Iron Bark as well.
Yeah, Swapsy and Joe Fernandez are choosing to use their offensive cooldowns, Ascendance as well as Recklessness coming out right away. They want to force Skill Cap in the defensive. Raikou still having a hard time really getting out too much damage. Just tanking a little bit of this damage right now in the middle of the map. He wants to get himself in a position where he can push in and get the Deep Freeze Polymorph Ring of Frost when he can.
It's good that he saved the Ice Block in that initial onslaught, too. That's going to play a huge difference.
Swap over onto Botar. He's in bear form right now. This might be his life. He's trying to take it through here. Barskin is up as he's dipping down below half HP. Swapsy into the cross crowd control in that Cyclone. Double Ice Nova comes out. And Skill Cap, now they're going to be able to pull it back. Joe Fernandez rallying dry just in the nick of time to keep Botar alive.
And even though Botar survived that was a lot of cooldowns that came out to keep himself alive. He used his Iron Bark, his Nature Swiftness, as well as his Bash is now on cooldown as well. So he has just the Iron Bark available. I think I said Iron Bark a second ago, I meant Bark Skin, but now they're trying to turn it back around onto Raikou. They do get the Iron Bark out onto Raikou, and so he's going to be taking quite a bit less damage. Actually manages to get his Water Elemental back out again too.
And you can see Botar behind the pillar right now, loading himself up with HOTS. He knows he's the target of choice, making sure every time he peeks out, he is in that bear form. Doesn't want to get swapped to with a kidney shot. Iron Bark's still up for him if he needs it. Barskin going to be up in 10 seconds. Swapsy actually getting fully cloned. It looks like they are going to try to push in onto Botar more than likely. Here comes the triple CC, the Polymorph onto Joe Fernandez. Ring of Frost onto Botar at the moment. Swapsy responding greatly, throwing out that Shamanistic Rage right away, preventing that incoming damage. Pry taking a little bit of damage at the same time. Joe Fernandez finally out of that crowd control. Botar still caught into that Cyclone. Healing Stat actually getting Storm Bolted right now. Joe Fernandez trying to force that Barskin. He is able to get it. So now Healing Stat only really has his Trinket left defensively.
Yeah, SK Gaming doing a good job to respond. Swapsy trading out the Shaman Rage and the Trinket in that setup. Now Botar has his Trinket coming up available, and they're actually going to swap over onto him. A few more seconds left on his Trinket. He Barskins right away, but he's not in bear form. Praise killing spree comes out. He pulls the trigger, and Skill Cap to you are going to tie this up 2-2. We're going into a game number 5.
I could not have asked for more from these teams. These guys are now tied 7-7 in the world.
That was scary for the second there. Raikou actually has the ice block. Of course, SK Gaming still actually staying in this, trying to see if they can still pull out a win here. It looks like Skill-Capped is going to stabilize here with that ice block as Raikou's going to get back to full health. Now Swapsy caught into that Garrote and Joe Fernandez into the Ring of Frost as well. They're going to hang on to it though, and I mean, who can blame them? If they can get a cross kill right here, this actually could be a big deal. But Swapsy's health is dipping lower and lower and lower, and they just do not have, they have no healer anymore. So it looks like Swapsy is going to go down here and that all the way. Give him a cheer.
And of course, on the opposing side, Skill-Capped EU, this is the last game at BlizzCon 2015. If you want Skill-Capped to take it, let's hear it.
It's pretty even.
Yeah, pretty even indeed. Once again, we're going to be seeing SK Gaming, or Skill-Capped, pardon me, looking for a very ideal opener, playing it very safe. I don't think throughout this entire tournament they've been knocked out almost once. Very, very clean, very patient, making sure that they get this triple CC out right away. The Shroud of Concealment coming out, giving a little bit more time on stealth. Actually, the cheap shot going out on Joe Fernandez right away. Kidney shot onto Botar. Looks like Botar is going to be the target of choice once again right away. Adrenaline Rush coming out. Raikou actually getting that Iron Bar to stop some damage onto him. Botar having to use his Bark Skin once again in the opener.
Oh, is it going to be enough, though? He's still dipping dangerously low. He's going to Shadow Meld. We see the Ascendance off-healing coming up from Swapsy, doing a good job trading that out a little bit more evenly here. Skill-Capped, you need to respond to this. Polymorphing Swapsy, trying to slow down some damage. Stormbolt over on the healing stat. Raikou is going to retreat, which means that Prey is the only target that Joe can connect to at the moment, now leaping over onto Raikou. SK Gaming doing a good job positionally at the pillar, only really getting through that Ascendance healing and Barskin. SK Gaming are looking good initially in this match.
Yeah, definitely. They did manage to pull out a couple of crucial cooldowns there. Ooh, Raikou dips down super low and has to use his first ice block. He's going to go ahead and cancel that right away because they want to stay on the offensive. There's the deep
another
freeze
swap on the
coming out
Botar. He's got no Barskin. He gets the Iron Bark off just in time. Will the Iron Bark be enough? He did pre-bear for him. He's got the Iron Bark. He's got full hots and Botar. You can fool him once, but you're not going to fool him twice.
That was a lot of cooldowns though.
Yeah, one thing to note, at the beginning of every match, they've used Recklessness and Ascendance at the same time. SK Gaming still has Recklessness available.
Yeah, so we're sort of staggering those offensive cooldowns, making sure they have pressure when they need it. Botar doing an excellent job, though, like you were saying, still having his Bark Skin as well as Trinket. So I don't know if Raikou and Pry can continue the assault onto Botar with him having so many more defensive cooldowns. Raikou taking a little bit of damage, still only having one ice block, the Iron Bar going out onto him from healing stat, but this is the triple CC we've seen time and time again. Swapsy having used that Shamanistic Rage right away. A little bit of damage coming up from Pry and Raikou at the moment. I think they know the kill has been lost. They're not going to go for it. Forcing out the Shamanistic Rage is exactly what they wanted to do.
And there's the blind onto Botar though. They may still try to set something up from that. No, it does not look like it. They're just going to go ahead. Botar actually just trinketed that. So they did manage to pull out his trinket, which is important here.
Yeah, it is very important. Joe Fernandez has to be the man with a plan for the next setup. If he doesn't respond appropriately for the next attack from Skill-Capped EU, they could fall here. Pressure onto Raikou. He's locked on Frost. Colossus smashes up. He's down to 33%. Healing stat pops the Heart of the Wild, trying to pick him back up with those Genesis heals. Doing a good job healing through the pressure, trying to fake cast the Reflect there. Joe is going to preemptively Blade Storm to avoid the clone. They're actually swapping over on the healing stat. He needs to respond. There's the Barskin out from healing stat. Not going to play this greedy. They know that they have the win if they can pull off the CC right here and now. Actually, they're going to swap over on Botar. Joe Fernandez gets the Vigilance up, and I think the Vigilance should be enough to tide Botar over. Well done from Joe Fernandez to defuse that setup out from Skill-Capped.
Botar also having to use his Barskin though, so now Barskin, no trinket available for 1 minute, as well as no Vigilance, so Botar could be in a lot of trouble. Pry actually getting bashed up there by Botar. Well done by him, making sure that he stays offensive, even though he knows he's a little bit of trouble. Healing stat getting Storm Bolted, does have his Barskin up in 30 seconds, healing as well as his Trinket, so he does have some defensive cooldowns to work with. Pry having to get that Iron Bark. Healing stat needs to get some additional healing out onto him. Botar, though, once again, having no defensive cooldowns. If Skill-Capped can get another good, clean setup onto Botar, CCing Swapsy and Joe Fernandez, could be in a ton of trouble.
Yeah, we're starting to see SK Gaming using that strategy of just pinging back and forth between all the targets, trying to catch healing stat off balance. They do manage to catch him in a Stormbolt there for just a second, but now they're trying to turn it back around onto Swapsy. He does get the Iron Bark ahead of time, so it looks like he's actually going to be fine for the moment, and healing stats still taking a lot of pressure.
Yeah, he's able to displace back to the pillar, though. Now we're going to see both teams kind of reset at the moment. A little bit of pressure onto Raikou. Gets locked on that sheep. He's not able to blink. He gets charged on the Blazing Speed. Down to 40% HP. He's got one more Ice Block remaining, but healing stat going to trade the Nature Swiftness out. Not actually doing too much. Prey caught into a Stormbolt. He did pre-feint this. Well done. It's going to reduce a lot of damage for that Stormbolt.
Yeah, Polymorph actually being spammed by Raikou there for just a second. He managed to get a couple of them on Joe Fernandez, which helped Prey out a lot as well. Raikou still under a lot of pressure. He's going to have his Cold Snap available, though, in another 7 seconds. So very, very shortly here, he will have the double Ice Blocks available as they're starting to turn it back around onto SK Gaming. There's a full sheep onto Botar. Swapsy immediately uses that Shamanistic Rage, trying to limit the damage. Botar gets caught in the blind and immediately trinkets that as well. Iron Bark coming up in 5 seconds. There's maybe a little bit of opportunity here, but Raikou gets down to 30% health and has to ice block.
Yeah, but there's no vigilance up. Swapsy has no trinket, no shamanistic rage whatsoever. Botar has no trinket either. The next red buff killing spree, which is coming up very, very shortly onto Swapsy, could be the game. They need to be very, very careful of that. Raikou taking a little bit of damage right now. Healing stat throwing out that Iron Bark. Going to be empowering his heals once again and preventing some of that damage.
They're actually going to swap onto Botar. He did pre-bear farm. He's got the Barskin ready for this attack. Raikou not able to connect, but they did bait the Barskin out. The next swap might be lethal. Prey doesn't care. He's actually just going through the Barskin. Adrenaline Rush comes out, but Prey overextends. He's caught into the Storm Bolt. Did they have any damage to follow it up? Doesn't look like they do. Raikou doing a good job. Polymorph in the DPS, trying to peel for his team as Skill Cap DU evacuate the situation.
Prey actually held on to his killing spree during that. I thought he was going to chain it after that Adrenaline Rush.
Yeah, Joe Fernandez actually used his vigilance there as well. So now Botar in a very scary position where once again doesn't have his Barskin for the up and coming killing spree. Raikou, healing stat and Pride just need to hold on a little bit longer, but can Raikou actually live? Down to 30% HP, 20% HP, blinking away from Joe Fernandez. Heroic leaping in though. The Colossus Smash comes out. Healing stat.
Here comes the swap onto Botar though. Somehow, someway, I think Skill Cap DU might be able to take it back. They need the damage here to follow it up. Botar gets the Iron Bark onto himself. Killing spree comes out from Prey. The heals from Swapsy should be enough to keep Botar alive. There's the clone onto Swapsy for cross CC, but Botar again ready for the swap and shutting Skill Cap DU down. Prey caught into that full bash, holding onto his trinket once again, pre-fainting the stun. Really well done from Prey thus far, but they need to make something happen quick. The damage is going to start to become insurmountable from SK Gaming.
Yeah, because dampening is starting to stack up here. We're already at 5%. Of course, that is a healing reduction on everybody. It's going to make it very, very difficult for the Resto Druids to continue keeping their teammates alive. Botar gets caught into a full polymorph. Swapsy has his Shamanistic Rage active, but only for another 8 seconds. It will be falling off here very shortly. Do they have any sort of follow-up CC on a Botar? No, it looks like he's going to be able to get off a Nature Swiftness heal onto Swapsy and keep his teammate alive yet again.
Yeah, but Botar having to do so much pre-healing at the moment. His mana is in big, big trouble. Healing stat actually getting swapped to once again. Joe Fernandez on his back, having to use that Barskin. No trinket, no Barskin available for him. Ascendance is coming up in 25 seconds. They can capitalize on that Ascendance on the healing stat. Pry, though, taking a lot of damage, using that combat readiness to prevent some damage. Botar caught into the full blind, deciding not to trinket, deciding to sit it. Actually, trinket's a little bit late. As soon as he sees some damage on the swaps, he just trinkets, Iron Barks him. He's going to be completely fine because of it.
Yeah, SK Gaming need to survive this setup. Healing stat has no skin and no trinket. If Joe and Swapsy can connect with that Ascendance, they might be able to burst him down. Healing stat knows that. He goes behind the pillar. He's getting a drink, but Prey is caught in a stun. Prey has to trade his trinket. He gets bashed on his trinket, still dipping dangerously low at 26%. Iron Bark comes out. He uses the vanish. He's going to have to peel for himself here. Cheap shot into Joe. Joe trinkets that aggressively here, and this might be an opening for Skill Cap if they can survive. Kidney shot over on the Swapsy. He's got Shaman Rage available, but he's going to hold on to it, playing it very smart with no CC onto Botar.
Yeah, that was a very defensive, almost like panic mode kidney shot coming out of Pry there because he knew he was in a lot of trouble, and it didn't matter that it was going to not have it available now for the setup. There's actually a polymorph going out onto Swapsy. Skill Capped at the moment, kind of feeling like they're reeling a little bit from that last push, but Botar at 4% mana, the time is ticking down for SK Gaming.
Yeah, there is still Shaman Rage available. We see the Adrenaline Rush coming out, and I wonder if the Shaman Rage will be enough. Botar's gone to the sheep. Swapsy dipping dangerously low. He trinkets out. Joe uses the Vigilance. Is he going to die through everything? They follow it up with the Cyclone. Swapsy's trying to stay alive with the Ancestral Guidance, and I think that Swapsy has done it. The Iron Bark now comes up from Botar, but SK Gaming have nothing left. They need to get a kill right here on the Healing Stat, or the next setup could be their lives. Healing Stat caught into the half bash. Barskin is up, and he's going to NS himself and try and stabilize as he's dipping down below half HP. We see Iron Bark and Barskin overlap from Healing Stat, and both teams are running on fumes.
Yeah, Joe Fernandez actually had an incredible fear there, making the entire team of Skill Cap there. But Swapsy could be in a lot of trouble. No more defensive cooldowns left. Botar doesn't have a trinket for another 25 seconds. Swapsy needs to survive. Spam out those heals onto himself. The DR Sap, though, comes out from Pry. Healing Stat also taking a little bit of damage. Swapsy getting so low, though. Botar throwing up that NS. Going to top off. Swapsy's going to be completely fine at the moment, connecting onto Healing Stat, who is caught into that Storm Bolt at the moment. Raikou doing everything he can to shut down the damage of SK Gaming, spamming out those polymorphs over and over onto Swapsy.
Yeah, both teams are now having to play very, very defensively to try and stay alive as long as they possibly can. It's no longer a matter of killing your opponent so much as outliving them. The smoke bomb comes out. Joe Fernandez still stuck in that for just a second. Swapsy's going to go ahead and respond.
Healing Stat has nothing left. Barsky comes up in 3 seconds. He blinks away. Is he going to survive? Part of the wall comes out in a miracle play. Healing Stat stays alive. They get the Shaman Rage out from Swapsy. Healing Stat has to be careful. Dampening is starting to mount. His healing is going to do less and less. He's trying to top his team off with the Tranquility. Skill Cap DU need to find a way to be able to reset and get some mana on Healing Stat, even if they have to trade a block. Joe charges over. He's looking to try and finish this. Healing Stat has Barskin. Barskin's a little bit too late. Is it going to be enough to stay alive? He NS's himself. He's going to stabilize. Swapsy gets the block out from Raikou, but Skill Cap DU are running low on cooldowns and running low on time.
They are up against the wall right now. Swapsy, though, getting down super low here. Down to 10% health for just a second. The Ice Nova's coming out. They're turning it around.
Oh, so low, too. Getting charged up, 10% HP.
got a cyclone onto Botar right now. Swatsea down to half. They just need to stabilize at this point.
Yeah, SK Gaming, if Skill Cap can actually get a cross kill here, then this game is still on. But SK Gaming is doing a great job. Even though Botar is completely out of mana, Swapsy has a little bit of healing available himself, and it's looking like SK Gaming is going to stabilize, and that's going to be it. GG. SK Gaming is your BlizzCon 2015.
The Black Temple. Now, this one is mostly epic due to the anticipation and also lore significance. I mean, originally Black Temple was the main raid in the Burning Crusade, but lore-wise it used to be the ancient temple of Karabor that was later on taken by the Orcs, then the Burning Legion, then by defeating Magteridon, Illidan got his hands on it and made it into his own headquarters. Now, the epicness of this raid wasn't because of the insane, super fun boss mechanics, but mostly just the anticipation and the scale of everything. I mean, ever since the famous "You are not prepared," everyone was preparing to fight Illidan, and in the Black Temple you finally could actually do that. Now, the temple itself is massive and you have to climb all the way to the top and go through all these chambers to find Illidan. And in this raid, many storylines collide, such as the one with Maiev and Akama as well, and most importantly, Illidan's storyline that has been building up in the game since Warcraft 3. Now, many cool bosses were in this raid as well, such as Terran Gorefiend, who is known to be the first Death Knight ever, and also it is possible to get Illidan's legendary weapons, the Warglaives of Azeroth, as an equipable item. However, the chances for that are very slim, but still a lot of people do actually have them. Number 4. Naxxramas. Now, Naxxramas is an ancient Nerubian ziggurat that was taken by the Scourge and later on used by Kel'Thuzad as his main base of operation. Now, the raid itself, however, was first introduced in a patch just before the release of the Burning Crusade expansion, and it was known as the hardest raid around as it required 40 well-equipped, skilled players that worked in perfect coordination in order to complete it, so most of the WoW player base never actually managed to get it done at that level. And by many players, this raid is considered to be one of the best ones out there, as it was designed in a very specific way, and every boss kinda had like a completely different tactic of their own, and in order to finish it, the raid required perfect execution by all raid members. And later on in Wrath of the Lich King, it was moved to Northrend, floating above Dragonblight, although it was one of the entry raids and it never really turned out to be what it was before, but nevertheless, it was still pretty fun, and it was so popular within the community that Blizzard even decided to make an expansion around this raid in their card game Hearthstone, and they had all the same bosses and different unlockable wings together with heroic mode and all of that stuff. Number 3. Karazhan. Now, definitely one of the best atmospheric raids and most interesting as well. With the multiple floor build and the amazing music, this raid is one of the most favorite amongst all of the World of Warcraft players. Now, originally the tower was housing the great Medivh, the Guardian of Tirisfal, who got corrupted and then got killed off by Anduin at Khadgar, and after his death, a mysterious curse swept through the nearby lands, and that's why pretty much everything is dark around there. Now, later on, the mages of Dalaran sent people to investigate and find useful research documents, and that is when they discovered Aetish, the great staff of the Guardian. And the raid itself was an entry raid for the Burning Crusade, so it was one of the most played at the time, and the main reason why it was so interesting is because of its uniqueness and just the atmosphere itself. Now, immediately when you walk in, you hear this creepy music and you see all these ghosts just living their lives as if nothing really happened there. And there is also an entire random boss fight that comes through the play scene. Also the famous chest event that presented the battle between Blackhand, Warchief of the Horde, and Lane Vryn. And apart from that, you always had like a feeling you were climbing up as like this castle, and you were going towards a giant dragon that you're going to fight. So, all in all, this raid is considered to be one of the best ones, mostly due to its uniqueness, atmosphere, and lore significance. Number 2. The Icecrown Citadel. Now, probably one of the most iconic raids of all time, and one of the most story relevant. Now, Icecrown Citadel was the final raid in Wrath of the Lich King, and also the fortress of the Lich King himself, which was the main villain at the time. Now, in my opinion, this is the only raid and maybe the only expansion so far where you actually had a feel you were fighting the Lich King and that he was a direct threat to the world and that every action against Artist kinda made an effect. So it was something completely different. You really just had this feel you were fighting a greater evil, and there was an actual threat to the world. It wasn't just like in Cataclysm. Even though, for example, Deathwing was amazing, he still wasn't that much of a threat, even though lore-wise he was. But in Wrath of the Lich King, there was just this feel about it with Arthas, and the Icecrown Citadel was the peak of it. Now, just entering the Icecrown Citadel was amazing. You had all these giant skeletons and spiders defending the entrance, and then just like with Karazhan, you had this multiple floor thing, which leads to the final encounter, and that was the Lich King. Now, this isn't just a regular raid or just like a minor boss. This is Arthas, I mean the one who destroyed the entirety of Lordaeron and took over Northrend and made the Scourge to what it was. Pretty much a major threat to the entire world and a force of its own, completely splitting apart from the Burning Legion. Now, ever since Warcraft 3, the story has just been building up, so it finally can be finished in this raid. And once you get to the top, you actually had the feeling you were at the top of the world and at the throne of the Lich King, the evil himself. And after a long fight together with Tyrion, Arthas was finally defeated. And thus the entire storyline, which was one of the most important storylines in the entire Warcraft universe, finally ended.
King rules forever, my son.
I see only darkness before me.
And lastly, number 1, Ulduar. Now, the reason why this is number 1 on the list is because it like matches all of these qualities that I've considered for this list. So mechanics, atmosphere, and the lore, and also the receival of the community. Now, it came out in a patch during Wrath of the Lich King expansion, and soon it turned out to be, as a lot of people call it, the peak of the World of Warcraft raiding. Now, it is an ancient Titan complex located in Storm Peaks, and the entire thing is just an addition to the still ongoing story of the Titans and how they got to this world and how they pretty much made this world as it is. Now, the raid itself though had multiple bosses, and every boss was just like a completely different thing. Now, both mechanics wise and environment wise, and the entire thing felt like a part of something. It wasn't just like one of those raids or dungeons where you just go there, fight bosses just standing there and waiting for you to attack them, and they aren't really nothing more than just obstacles that you have to complete in order to finish the raid. While in Ulduar it was completely different. I mean, you were fighting all these crazy bosses, these constructs, Titan Watchers, dragons, and all in their own chambers that matched the entire thing. And apart from that, it felt like it was made for the Titans. I mean, everything in Ulduar was giant, and you had all these massive doorways and walls that made you feel like an ant in the entire thing. And it was just something different and something that wasn't just a weekly grindfest, and hopefully there will be raid like this in the future of the game that will be able to actually match the greatness of Ulduar.
Bran Bronzebeard's forces assaulted the gates of Ulduar. They battled the Iron Lords and their cursed minions.
Evasive action! Evasive action!
He won't stop talking about this presence he felt, permeating the great halls, stirring in their minds, chilling their blood. He said the horror that the Titans imprisoned so long ago, Yogg-Saron, has awakened.
So that is all I have for this list. Of course, this doesn't mean that the other raids sucked or anything like that. This is just my opinion on them from my own perspective. But anyways, which raids do you like the most and you thought were the best ones in the game? And also give some reasons why. And also don't forget to leave some